Before he began to use his state's citizen election public financing program in his bid for a Connecticut General Assembly seat, he participated in the U.S. Naval Nuclear Program, and he's now the chair for the Connecticut Federation of Democratic Clubs, Black Democratic Clubs. To talk about his recent primary victory in the Connecticut primary for state representative, ladies and gentlemen, represent candidate and the next state representative from the state of Connecticut, Gary Winfield.
Thank you. I want to thank Public Campaign also for bringing me here, and I want to thank everyone for coming here to listen to us. I think the fair elections, clean elections, whatever title you know it by, I think it's very important. I think elections should be about having alternatives and choices, and a lot of the time we think we have choices because someone presents to us a Democrat or a Republican, depending on what party we're in, but we don't really have as much choice as we think that we do. In my city, we're a town of Democrats. There are no Republicans. There are independents, but they're, in my opinion, Democrats in disguise, so you have only Democrats. So a Democrat's going to win. But the problem with that in my city is that the Democratic Party is extremely strong because there's no industry. All right, so I'm going to change a little bit what I was going to say. Let me take you to the beginning of my campaign. Of course, it began with me talking to some people I know. But the first public thing that I did was to go to an event in Hartford, which is the capital of Connecticut. And I was speaking on a panel to some young people. And I was talking about the violence in some of the communities in Connecticut, especially New Haven, where I'm running for state representative. And when I got to talking about what was happening with the young people, I broke down crying. And the reason I broke down crying was because I spend time in the streets with those young people, talking to them about their issues, trying to help them. I've functioned as a community activist for years, so those issues are very close to my heart. A person like me who's doing that is not normally what you see able to raise the amount of money necessary to run, because we've been so focused on doing that kind of work on the streets that we don't have the name recognition. We haven't penetrated the party the way that we should. But those voices are the very voices that are necessary to be elected. I mean, a lot of the time what happens is we look at people who are elected and we say, well, they're not doing what we want them to do. But when you look at their background, they've never been doing what you want them to do. And so we have to change the way that we go about voting for people. And one of the things that can help is this campaign financing. Without it, I wouldn't be sitting here. The person who I ran against was an empty suit. That's the kindest thing that I can say. That person was put up by the party locally because the party wanted to maintain its control. And that's my party, the Democratic Party. So a lot of the time we sit here and we talk about corporations, lobbyists, and all of these interests. We forget about parties that take control. If we really want to change the system, we have to not just be looking at those corporations, those parties. Any entity, be it our own party, that wants to control without doing for the people, that's an entity that we need to be out there working against. And that's what I did. And so my thing, and I'm not going to speak too long because I kind of see the time thing. My thing about this is, if you want to change what's going on, then you have to really work to change what's going on by changing the way that you elect people. Campaign finance, paying attention to what a person's done before they were elected. The work that I did in the streets, I didn't get paid for. I didn't get a title. I didn't get anything. So you can kind of rest assured that that is what I'm going to be doing. You know, I've been at the state capitol for years working on these issues, and nobody pays my transportation back and forth. Nobody pays for the headaches I have trying to bring these issues to people in a state that is constructed completely different than New Haven, Hartford, New Britain, Waterbury, the 5 or 6 towns that are constructed the way mine are. Most of them are rural. They're majority white, and they have much more affluence than we do. So try and explain to them why the achievement gap is important, besides being something that you speak to rhetorically, is very difficult, you know. But what I've been able to do, because I've been involved in it, is speak across the issue to people and make it their issue. So when I speak about the achievement gap, I talk about, well, Connecticut is a state where the demographics are changing, because we have all these articles about white flight and the brain drain. I say, well, that's important, but what you forget is the other half of the article, where if that's happening, then the percentage of people in the workforce who are black and Latino increases. And so this is not our issue, this is your issue too. But you don't have that going on because you don't have people who have invested their time in these issues to be able to speak to that. And so when you have something like campaign financing, which allows me to run a commercial so people can see my face when they've never seen my face before, and they can understand when I come to the door who I am, that's very useful, or anyone else. And so like I said, I'm not going to speak long because I recognize